program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome to the middle of the African bush. We're on a fresh set of male lion tracks. Hopefully we find them soon. This is Safari Live. Ready?
Standing by.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
Morning, and welcome to the middle of the African bush. Oh, I'm attached at the ear. Now, there's two male lions walked past quarantine. They've come down into Philemon's Dip. We're trying to figure out where they've gone from there. We've lost the tracks, and sometimes they cut through towards the old hyena den. So I'm just having a quick look for some fresh tracks here. Hopefully the bushes don't growl at me. Now, we are 100% live from the middle of the African bush. You can also ask us questions by using the hashtag Safari Live or the email address questions@WildEarthTV. Now, it doesn't look like the lions went this way, so we're going to go down and check where the last tracks went. Now, it's a warm morning. As you can see, I'm still in my short pants. It's about 22 degrees Celsius, 72 Fahrenheit, but it is quite overcast and cloudy. But I don't think it's going to rain just yet. It's been threatening, and according to the weather forecast, which I don't ever trust, we're supposed to have an absolute deluge come Friday, Saturday, Sunday. There is 120 millimeters predicted. If that's the case, we shall not be going on game drives, we shall be going on game swims. Might have to do some serious frogging. B. Wilson, welcome. B. Wilson's wondering if it rained last night. It did not, and I think it's building. We will see if the South African weather services have got it right. They've issued flood warnings for the weekend, and as I said, we might be freestyling through the African bush, or batten down the hatches and stay in the tent. We're going to have to see what happens. I never know with weather. It's one of those ones. I'll tell you when it's raining. Okay. I'm just going to have a quick look. Now, we definitely had tracks just up ahead. Now, did they disappear into the bush and follow the drainage line, or did they cut through to the west? So there were at least two of them from the track I could see. I wonder if they went down this little sneaky road here. Okay, I'm a lion. Where am I going to go next? I'm going to stop over here. Yes, I'm going to stop over here. I'm going to scent mark quickly. I'm going to keep going because I'm the biggest, toughest cat in the bush. And where do I go from here? I know, I'm going to confuse Brent, and I'm going to go this way. Or not. Or do I? Now, quite often when you're tracking, especially when the animals leave the road, we've got to do a bit of guessing. Educated guessing is probably the better description. And I've still got tracks right here and there. So maybe they went straight past the pump house. Let's go check further down Philemon's cut line. I did hear them roaring when I woke up this morning. It sounded like they were down south somewhere. Maybe, I didn't think they was far west, but maybe they've been moving constantly. So let's keep up. Of course, if we have no luck with these big boys, we're always going to go check on the Nkuhuma Pride, who I think probably haven't moved too far from that buffalo kill they made yesterday. While I keep on the lion tracks, hopefully we'll be blessed with some big cats shortly. Let's go see what Byron's plan for the morning is.
Good morning, everybody. My name's Byron, and with me on camera this morning is Jandre. And I am currently looking for the Nkuhuma Pride. I've come into the area where they were last seen yesterday, but it doesn't seem as if there's any sign of them just yet. Looking very, very carefully, we're not where the carcass was that they had yesterday. When they actually left that carcass. Apparently there was nothing left of it. So just having a look around here to see if we can find them. But usually what happens with lions after they feed and they finish a carcass, they'll probably head towards some water. The reason for that is because they get very, very thirsty. The blood of a lot of animals, and especially buffalo and that they're feeding on, it's very salty, so generally they do look for water after feeding. But I'm sure we'll have some luck a little bit later. We're going to drive around, see if we can't find some tracks. But it doesn't appear as if they are in this block anymore where they were yesterday. So they have moved off. Nice cool morning, so I'm sure if these lions are moving around, they could potentially be moving for quite some time this morning in this cool weather. They don't, we know lions generally don't like to move too much during the heat of the day when it is very, very warm. Conserve the energy rather for when it's cooler and for the evenings. That's when lions do move around a lot. However, saying that, we've seen in the past, lions are very opportunistic, and if there's food around, something that they'd like to potentially hunt, even if it's hot, they will still hunt. And this Nkuhuma Pride actually did it a few weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. One afternoon, about 4:30, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, they got up and they hunted the buffalo close to some water. And that is unusual, but it does happen. I think let's take Aubrey's up here, just see if they're on tracks of these lions coming out anywhere. What we'll do is we'll do a big loop around this area and see if they are potentially still in the block, or if they have moved, which direction they've moved to. And like I say, maybe towards water. So what I think I might do is head towards that Gallagher waterhole, that small little pan, and just go and have a look around there. But I want to scan very, very carefully in this area. Are some lion tracks here, everyone, and they are heading, it appears as if the fresh tracks are heading in this direction. And Dumbrat Dave would like to know, where's the main water source in Djuma? So at the moment, I would say one of the main water sources is probably the Djuma Dam. That's the largest, I think, dam around at the moment. So that would be the main water source on Djuma, where we are. So having a look, these lions have walked all along here, and these tracks do look fresh from this morning sometime perhaps, or last night. Nothing's driven over them or walked on top of them. Yep. The lions walked all along the road here, which is nice. Very kind of them to walk along the road. And again, they use the roads because it's a large pathway. It's easier for them to move through the bush on these roads. They don't need to dodge bushes or walk through long grass. Still seeing little tracks, and it looks like little tracks of the cubs too. Just want to double check and make sure. Yep, I can definitely see lioness and cub tracks. Alright, so while we follow these tracks, let's head back to Brent and see how he's doing with those male lion tracks.
We're doing some more educated guessing. Now, from the audio I heard early this morning, they were heading south, so fingers crossed they haven't quite made it to the southern boundary yet, but to ensure they haven't, VM and I are going to go down the southern boundary, see if we find anything there. Also, good chance to check for Queen Karula, see if she went south with Hosana and Shongile. I've got a strong feeling she's probably left the cubs sleeping in the area where they had that kill yesterday, but you never know. And so we'll have to check there while we're down on the southern end of Djuma. Okay, we're on the southern boundary. We're going to be checking carefully for all sorts of tracks, and of course I have of the camera department the best track spotter with me, and that's VM, of course. He's like an extra tracker, so always good. VM's going to keep a look on the left, I'm going to keep a look on the right. Now, not the best morning for birding with a camera. Good morning, Mary in Texas. Says, was there a Philemon that road was named after? Yes, Philemon worked at Djuma for many years. He has now moved to the Djuma in the sky quite some time ago, though, long before Wild Earth arrived here. But yes, he used to maintain the roads and such and such. Oh, what have we got here? No lion tracks, no leopard tracks just yet. Now, sometimes this road can be quite difficult for tracks because it is one of the main access roads, so I'm going so slowly because there is quite a lot of traffic on all hours down this road. So far, hippo tracks, and not much else apart from impalas. Now, coming up ahead is one of Karula's favourite spots to cross, so we're going to be checking there very carefully. Some buffalo tracks around, nothing particularly fresh so far. Now, we do spend quite a lot of time checking this road, especially because Karula's territory sort of falls on either side of this road, so it is an area we spend a lot of time. Okay, now this is where we've got to check very carefully. Like most lions and leopards like to utilize roads. They like nice big animal paths for them. Okay. Now, male lion tracks a lot easier to see. They're about the size of my hand. Karula's tracks about this big, so you've got to look far more carefully for the Queen of Djuma's tracks than you do for the Birmingham boys. Nope. Good sign, good sign. elephants around here overnight, but quite early on there's lots of little nocturnal critters, millipedes and the such, with tracks that are on top. So another spot to look for Karula tracks that she comes through quite often. Nothing so far. Looking good, looking good. Remember, hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or questions at WildEarthTV if you would like to ask us any questions about what we're up to or anything out here in Africa. Now, since we're trekking away here, I think it's time to get your grey matter working, and it is a quiz we've done before, but I think there's quite a lot of new viewers who might not know. So my favourite antelope family are the Traphalagids, or the spiral horned antelope, and we get a few of them here. But I'm going to ask you, how many spiral horned antelope are there in the whole of Africa? So spiral horned, I'll give you one to start off with. Kudu is a spiral horned antelope. So how many Traphalagids are there in the whole of Africa? Send your answers through to questions at WildEarth.tv or hashtag Safari Live, and get that grey matter a churning on this sunrise safari. Nothing so far. Where have these lions disappeared to? Well, if we don't see tracks, as I said, it's quite a good sign. It means they're still within our traverse area. More buffalo tracks. It doesn't look like they're running from lion tracks though. They just look like I'm ambling along tracks. Now there's another big road junction up ahead, which is also quite a popular spot for lions and things to cross, particularly the Birmingham boys. They tend to walk that route, but we just wanted to make sure that there was nothing crossing up this side. Now, of course, there's still a few firsts for the wet season to find. The first baby warthogs, the first baby wildebeest, the first pygmy kingfisher, the first European golden oriole, sorry. Now, Virginia's wondering, is it easier for me to spot the tracks now that I don't have a door? Well, it is, Virginia, particularly when I drive like this. You can use the steering wheel. Oh, that looked like tracks. Stop being silly, dear Smith. What track was that? Well, thank goodness it was only a baboon. Okay, so if the lions have crossed out of Djuma, the most likely spot is about 50 meters up ahead. Now, Jay is wondering about lion versus leopard tracks. How do you tell the difference? Well, lion tracks are generally quite easy. I mean, a male lion is the size of my hand. A male leopard is probably only the size of the inside of my palm, and that's a very big male. Now, when it comes to... Oh, no. That's Karula and the cubs, by the looks of things. Jay, I'll get back to your question now. Okay, so why I say it looks like Karula and the cubs, there's one track, there's another track, that looks like Karula, and that looks like Hasana. Their tracks are pretty much, as we would say in Swahili, kama kawaida, same difference. Now I'm sure if we looked a little bit more carefully, Shongile's tracks will be around here somewhere as well. Okay, well, unfortunately the royal family has gone back down to the south. We will keep a lookout and an ear out to see if they come back to the west. Hopefully we don't find any lion tracks on this road, and that means we'll go back and start at last tracks again. Okay, so we've got some answers into the quiz, and two different ones. We've got 9 and 7 species. Fuzzman Sparkle says 9, and CC and Aaron say 7. Now, oh, there's Shongile. No, that's good. Oh, that's bad. Oh, it's old. That's good.
I don't see more, just one sticking out.
I actually tracked that one the other day. Okay, so let's run through them together. There are 5 in Southern Africa. And of course I should have clarified, we're not doing subspecies and things that are sort of not negotiated but argued by geneticists and stuff like that till they're classified as a species on there and they don't count. So we've got 5 in Southern Africa: Kudu, Inyala, Bushbuck, Eland. Vim, can you tell me the last one? Vim wasn't listening. It seems like so we've got Kudu, Inyala, Bushbuck and Eland, and the last one is
Bongo?
no, in Southern Africa. Sitatunga. So a Sitatunga, and look at that. Here's some spiral horned antelope while we're speaking about them. So there's 5 in Southern Africa. And of course, let's try and get a better view there. And VM's mentioned another one, Bongo, from West and Central Africa. Now, again, the Bongos argue that there's 2 species, the East African bongo and the West, but genetically there's not that much difference in them just yet. Hello, little boy. Okay, so we got bongo, and then we have lesser kudu, we have Lord Derby's eland, and we have mountain inyala. So there we go, very well done to Fuzzman Sparkles. Indeed, 9 different species of Traphalagids. Now, these little boys, they haven't quite developed their large curl that of a horn. They've just got little horns, but they're growing up quickly, and they're going to grow up nice and quickly if they keep eating that round leaf teak, nice and nutritious. Oh, and the rain tree. But while we continue our search for the big male lions that so far look like they have not left Djuma, and let's go see how Byron's tracking of the Nkuhumas is going.
So no luck just yet on our tracks either. Done a big loop around, and I think these lions may still be in this block off to my left. But let's have a look. What's that on the left there, Jean-Dre? Is there something down there? Nothing. Antelope tracks. So I'm trying to listen out for any alarm calls. Maybe we're lucky and something spots the lions for us and lets us know where they are, more or less. But nothing yet, nothing yet. And so far we've only managed to see one Impala I had a look for a little lamb, but no sign. I'd love to see. I can't wait to see my first little lamb of the season. There's a big male. There we go. Speaking of Impala, big male. Oh, he's just running off through the bushes. Can you see him through there? Disappearing on us. The lone male, and that's interesting. Possibly just a territorial male that is in a nice open area. So I'm assuming he would have just stayed here for safety, nice and open. There possibly some other impala around here earlier. Just having a careful look. It's always difficult to drive and track at the same time. I find I do think we miss a lot of the tracks. If we are driving, we don't necessarily have a tracker with us. It does help sitting on the front of the vehicle while you are driving. It just makes it a lot easier. Also, the guide generally, while he's interpreting the bush to guests and turning around and chatting to the guests, he might miss something up front, and it does help to have a tracker with you who's able to keep an eye out for any tracks or signs of animals crossing the road. And Dina, you wanted to know if we are the first vehicles out every morning, Wild Earth, and it sounds like it this morning. Definitely, we were the first ones out, and I think we are generally the first ones out because, trying to think, I think most lodges, if I'm not mistaken, most lodges do a wake up around 5 a.m. and the guests meet on deck at 5:30 or meet in the car park where the vehicles are at about 5:30, and they head out on drive, maybe with a cup of coffee and a biscuit first. Oh, some zebra. Wonderful. Hang on. Just try to look for a little gap here. Oh, beautiful, some zebra. I'm just trying to see if there's another little gap. Chandra, maybe if I move forward a little bit for you, I might get a better view of them. They seem quite relaxed with us, which is good. Yeah, here we go. We'll get a lovely view of them from here. How's that? Isn't that a bit better? Oh, always great seeing some zebra. A dazzle of zebra, and I think it's a very appropriate name for a group of zebra, a dazzle. Dana, you wanted to know if the zebras actually lie down flat when they do sleep, and they do sometimes, Dana. They will lie down, and I've seen it especially with zebra foals. The young zebra do lie down. They lie completely flat when they are sleeping, but we need to remember a lot of these animals don't necessarily lie down for long periods of time. But I have seen adult zebras lying down and resting, maybe for a few minutes, half an hour, and then they generally get up and move again, because when they are lying down, they are obviously vulnerable to any predators if there are any around. So most of these animals, even though they lie down and rest, it will be for a very short period of time, and there'll most likely be a number of other zebra around, for example, that are keeping a close eye out for any danger or any predators. Some Cape turtle doves calling in the distance. It's a lovely morning, and those tails constantly swishing of the zebra, keeping the flies away. And it's wonderful if you can. Sometimes you can see these zebra, what they do is they stand head to tail, and they flick their tail backwards and forwards to keep the basically to keep the flies out of each other's faces. Now, Adam, you wanted to know how tall the zebra are at the shoulder. Good question. I'll have to see if I can find out. I would say they're probably about 130 centimeters or so. Let's have a look quickly, Adam. Let me try to find out for you. Let's see what they say. Yeah, 1.3 meters tall at the shoulder. Sure, how's that for a guess? So 1.3 meters tall. Sometimes some species may get to about 1.5 centimeters, but generally the plain zebra or the Birchall zebra, which is the species of zebra that we are seeing right now, is about 1.3 to 1.4 meters at the shoulder. Some wonderful stripes. They are beautiful, beautiful animals. Some interesting historical pictures of zebra in Africa. Now we've learnt apparently that studies have been done that, well, for one, you can't really tame zebra or use them for anything, so farmers and that wouldn't have used zebra for work animals on farmlands and that, and apparently you cannot really ride a zebra. I've never tried, but their backs are much weaker than horses, so it wouldn't make sense to try and use them for that. But there are some wonderful historic pictures of zebra or subspecies of zebra pulling a cart with somebody riding the cart, and obviously having these zebra much like a horse-drawn cart, and having these zebra pull the wagon or the cart, which is interesting. But that would have been, well, maybe 80 to 100 years ago. And there they go. Rena, you want to know if there's only one species of zebra? No, Rena, there are many more. Now in southern Africa, we've got, let me make sure I get this right. I think we've just got the 3 species. So we've got these Birchall zebra, or the plains zebra, which we see in this area. So in the Greater Kruger, this northeastern part of South Africa, that is the only species we get here. However, down in the southern part of South Africa, so in the Karoo we call it, closer down to the southern coast of South Africa, we've got a species known as the Cape Mountain zebra. So it's a different species, a subspecies of zebra down there. And then up to the western side of South Africa too, west and northwest, we've got a species called the Hartmann mountain zebra. And let me see if I can find you some pictures of the different species. And all that's really different, all the subspecies, and all that's different is the shape, or is the pattern and the stripes on those zebra. And I'll show you here quickly. There we go. So this image over here has got the Cape Mountain zebra and the Hartmann zebra on the top. And what we can see is, you see how narrow those stripes are, very, very close together. And notice how the stripes stop just before they get to the bottom of the belly, and the belly is completely white. And very much similar to the Hartmann zebra. That's Hartmann zebra at the bottom, Hartmann's mountain zebra. And they're called mountain zebra because they do climb mountains very, very well. And then at the bottom is the plains zebra. Used to be known as the Birchall's zebra. So the plain zebra, and these zebra, you can see there's a very distinct difference in the size of the stripes, much wider apart. And you might also get a slight shadow stripe, which they refer to between the black and the white stripes, that little shadow stripe moving through there. And also the stripes extend right around the belly, so not completely white. And then there are other zebra species up in East Africa. Grevy's zebra. What else? Now I'm trying to think. Brent might know better which other species are up there, because Brent did work up in East Africa for a short while. And speaking of Brent, let's head over to him now. See how he's doing with those lions. I wonder if he's found them yet.
Well, it seems like our lion tracking has come to fruition. And here we go. The two males that we've been tracking all morning, we've found them on Twin Dams. So it's Mfumo, the authority. You can see how well his little... Well, it's now a little, but at one point he's a massive hole in the face. Oh, and I think that's Tinyo. I haven't seen decently yet because he's been snoozing, but it looks to be Tinyo. So there we go, two members of the Birmingham coalition. Oh, bless you. Did you suck in a little bit too much dust there, but here we go. It looks like Tinyo, the tooth. You can see, yeah, I can see that remnant of a split lip just there as he turned. Now, it's quite interesting when we look at both of them here. Now, you can see Tinyo's mane is darkening faster. You can see underneath getting really nice and dark. I'm just going to move the vehicle a little bit so we got a good view of both of them. Now that Tinyo has decided to raise his head, that's it. Just, we want to see the left-hand side of your face. Stop turning your head. I know you're watching my tires. Yep, it is definitely Tinyo. I'm happy with that now. We know who they are. Now, boys, it's very important. We want roaring this morning. And you've been roaring all morning. I heard you from about 4 o'clock making lots of noise. Now you need to make some noise for us. They're looking quite well fed. 3 of them were seen together yesterday in Buffelshoek. So these two plus one of the other, Nena or Utsuku. But I haven't seen either of those for quite some time. Big boys. So now this is a perfect eyes, look at that. Stare straight through you. Now you can see the battle scars that litter a male lion, and as I was saying, you can now see his mane quite clearly. See how it's much darker underneath. There we go, than Mfumo's, and he's getting that lovely little sis. Let's do some grooming. So, definitely, you can see that also that dark mohawk starting to form right in the center, and Mfumo's getting there. He might be a little bit younger. Now, we don't exactly know the exact ages of all the Birmingham boys, so the coalition has got different ages in it, and he could just be, Tinyo could be a little bit older, judging from how dark his mane is, and also just how tattered his ears are and stuff in comparison to Mfumo. He's still quite blonde. He is getting that little, there we go, his little nick out of the ear, and he's still very battle scarred. And there we go, you see he's just looking a little bit more ragged than Mfumo. Now David was wondering who's older, and I'd say there's not much difference between them, maybe a year at most, but Tinyo definitely looks to be the older of the two. Now they're looking to the south, which is bad for us. We want them to look to the north. We want them to hear some commotion that brings them deeper into Djuma. We're only about 150 meters, 200 meters away from our southern boundary, and I'm very happy we didn't find any lion tracks there, and we found these two beautiful boys. Now, they've walked quite far from where they were yesterday in Buffels Hook. They've gone from very close to the Kruger boundary. They've headed north, or I'm guessing they must have come through around Gowrie Cut Line. We found their tracks on quarantine. So they've probably done a good 10 kilometers to 12 kilometers last night. And they're probably going to rest up. There's always a possibility they might get up and move a bit further to the south, but for now, it looks like they're going to rest up. Now, it looks like they might have been having a scrap quite recently. There we go. There's some fresh sort of punctures. Oh, and you can see on his foot there, it looks like a bit of blood. Yeah, there's a little red dot there. A little bit to the left. See, looks like some fresh blood there. And there's some, looks like a fresh scratch a little bit higher, and some puncture marks. Now, this is not uncommon. Male lions always boxing with something, each other, or of course the females, or even some marauders, but more than likely each other. Oh, isn't that wonderful how well that's healed? But if we go down to his nose, he's obviously tired of smelling himself, and he's smelling a little wild aniseed, so he's inhaling the licorice. Look at that. Remember, this is 100% live, so we never know what's going to happen next. They are snoozing currently, but they might jump into action. I'm really hoping that they give us a big roar. You can see they're both looking very well fed, big bellies, and he's managed to urinate all over himself. That's not uncommon with male lions. They just sort of lie there and urinate. They're not too worried with personal hygiene. Yeah, Tinyo using his foot as a pillow. Hi, Brandon, who's in Rhode Island, who's wondering how long the Birmingham coalition has been in power. Now, the first sort of serious pushing they did of the Matimbas, if I remember correctly, was October last year, and I'd say probably by January, February they were in full reign, even though they hadn't quite managed to subjugate all the females in the area. Oh yes, life's tough. So about 7-8 months now, probably closer to 8 months, that they've been the top coalition in the area. Now, as I said, they're probably about 6 years old, around between 6 and 7, which means unless another big coalition of males comes in, they're looking probably to sit on the top for the next 3 years or so, probably giving them about 4 years on the top. That's quite normal. What did you hear, mister? What did you smell? Oh, nothing that interesting. Oh, head down. Of course, there used to be 5 of them. The one that was known as Tsotsi or Skabanga or Scrapper, lots of different names, he expired due to a wound caused from a buffalo hunt. Now, lion genetics are quite an interesting thing, and they are very, very varied. And okay, so we'll get back to genetics now. We're just going to answer a question quickly from Marion, it's a double header, and it's how do coalitions form and how long do they last? Now, how they form, there's a couple of ways that they form. The most common way is that a group of related males, possibly brothers or half brothers of a similar age, will leave their natal or home pride together. Now, of course, moving out in a group gives them a better chance of survival than heading out singly. The other way, which is also quite common, is that you might get two related males who will move out of an area, and then during their nomadic phase, they might bump into two unrelated males or one unrelated male, and then they join up because there's strength in numbers. Now, particularly in this part of the Kruger Park and South Africa, you get very big coalitions. And if we just go through the coalitions and the size they started at, you had the Mapochos, there were 6, and the Majingalans 5. I think the Sand River males down south, there's 4 of them. And now we've got originally 5 Birminghams. The Salati males were originally 4 or 5 as well. Now that's because there's such competition between the coalitions here for females, for breeding rights, for territory, that a single male will find it very difficult to survive. Oh, Matimbas, I nearly forgot, were originally 5 as well. Now, what happens sometimes is coalitions over time might split, to answer the second part of your question, Marion. Normally, they'll stay together as long as possible till they are killed by normally other lions. But so generally, the coalition will probably form when the animals are 3 to 4 years old, and they'll last till they die, so 12 years old. Now, of course, in certain circumstances, animals die quite young, like Scrapper did. He died before he was 6 years old, and due to a wound from a buffalo. So there's no sort of hard and fast rule about how long coalitions will survive, but I'd say generally once they're in power, 4 to 5 years is a good sort of estimate of how long these coalitions will survive. Now, I was going to start chatting about genetics in lions. Now, originally, I think there were 37 subspecies named. Now, these have all been brought down. There are only 2 distinct subspecies, and that is the African lion and the Asiatic lion. The Asiatic lion lives in India. Now, if we go, let's stick on the African lions for now. You've got Western clade and Eastern clade lions, which is quite interesting. So almost down the middle of Africa, you've got 2 different clades that are slightly genetically different, but nothing near enough to call them a different species. And they cross over in a couple of spots, but if you look carefully, it's actually fascinating. So Kruger lions and Tanzanian lions are quite closely related. Botswana, because it's in the middle, is related to both. So it's a fascinating thing if you look at the genetics. And I've been fortunate enough to work on one of the big genetic lion projects with a non-profit organization called the African, I'm trying to remember the acronym now, APCRO, the African Predator Conservation Research Organization, and that is run by a very good friend of my dad's, a guy by the name of Dr. Mike Briggs, and he's one of the leading experts on lion genetics in the world. And he's the one who taught me all about clades and where the different lions come from. And just racking my brain for a bit more information. It's been a while since I read all those papers, but I'm sure I'll remember. Now, of course, a lot of the genetic stuff is that you've got these Kalahari lions or Cape lions that are extinct, and Barbary lions, or woodlands. We'll see if we can find him just now. But now with being able to test the museum sort of taxidermistry samples and things like that, there's almost no difference. You will find lions in desert areas tend to develop much bigger manes, and the reason for that is the climate they're in, and that's to protect them from the sandstorms and from the heat. It's not so much because they're a different species. Here we go. This is what I was thinking about. So, for example, quite interesting, West African lions, which are up in the Sahel region, so Chad and Sudan, going up that side, are actually more closely related to the Asiatic lion than they are to sub-Saharan lions, to the South and East African lions, which probably means that the Asiatic lions, during the last land bridge between Africa and Asia, moved through from that area, which makes sense. It's closest to the land bridge. There we go, massive dinner plate feet. A nice full belly. Now, Big Blue's wondering whether wild lions have dew claws like domestic cats. Indeed they do. Let's see if we can find one. Look at that. I'm trying to find out. Sorry, there's an update on Kudu. I was just listening to the radio. No, it sounds like they might have found it down in the south. But let's carry on chatting about lions. And so generally, the way they, without mitochondrial DNA, the way they separate species is from skull morphology. So slight differences in the skull, and it has to be present in more than sort of 80% of the skulls modified for it to actually go through, or not modified, examined for it to go through. So it is amazing that Savo lions, for example, in Kenya, are far more closely related to Kruger lions than lions on the western side of Kenya. Now, the clade system is separated by the Great Rift Valley. Now, in East Africa, the Great Rift Valley is very, very obvious. Out here in South Africa, it's not so obvious, but there is a fault line that runs all the way from Kenya down through South Africa. We're on the eastern side of that fault line at the moment, and it goes out to sea in Lake St. Lucia in northern Zululand. So it is incredible if you look at the geology underneath. And of course, at certain times, maybe the Great Rift Valley was far more of a insurpassable or more difficult to pass than it is now, and that's what separated these lions 100,000 years ago. So now there is also the middle. They're not called a clade, but they're just called the middle lions, which seem to be a combination of both western and eastern clade lions, and those occur sort of through central Zambia and into Botswana. Botswana, very interestingly, has both clades and the middle clade, so it's got all three. Now, of course, they can still all interbreed, and they haven't been separated for long enough to even close become a distinct species. Lovely bird calling, giving us the ambient sounds. We've got that, which is an orange-breasted bushshrike. We heard the chit-chirr of a woodlands kingfisher. What else can we hear? Oh, there we go. Definitely Tinyo. You can see that wound. And here, Levalant's cuckoo as well. Dedrick's cuckoo. Klaas's cuckoo. So they're probably not going to move too much this morning. And said they've probably done a good 10 to 15 kilometers overnight. Male lions are capable of doing further than that. They can walk up to 25 kilometers if they need to, but it is unusual. Normally you'll find 5 to 10 kilometers is their general sort of movement, and also it all depends whether they rushing off to chase off invaders, or they're just doing a good scent marking and boundary patrol. They were roaring a lot last night, and that's why we jumped further to the south to try find them. Morning, Karen. Karen's wondering if there have been any other male lions in this area recently apart from the Birmingham Coalition. Karen, there were 2 Avoca males that snuck through the corner and into Sibambili. They've now gone south, and I heard there were some young males that came onto Inkoro from the Kruger, but way too young to sort of challenge the Birmingham boys. No adult sort of or real challenges to the Birmingham's throne in the last while, but it could change tomorrow, and that's the thing. You never know what's going to happen out here in the African bush. Now, you've seen Byron and myself searching around the African bush. There's a third person who's getting moving, and it's Stef on a bushwalk. So let's go see what his plan is for the morning.
Good morning, good morning. Yes, we are live and we are walking across quarantine as we speak. Now, I have been watching the show for the first little bit of this morning, and I am told, or I understand at least anyway, that Byron couldn't find the lions. They're in some big block, and that's exactly what this bushwalk is good at doing, is walking through the middle of big blocks of bush, uncovering whatever's inside there. For those of you who are just joining the show or new to this show and want to know what are we doing, my name is Stef and I'm a wilderness trails guide. And what we do is we uncover the bush from a different angle. Foot safaris, or safaris on foot and safaris on vehicles, is how people have been exploring Africa for the last 100 years or so. And it's a very, very exciting, very novel way of seeing things from a different aspect, or from seeing things from a different point of view. And also our focus is slightly different. Of course, we don't get as close as what the vehicles can get to all these animals. But it can be a lot more exciting, or can be as exciting. Let me rephrase that. And then also we have an interest in a lot of different things at the ground level, so to speak. And I'm hoping that over the next couple of hours that I can show you some of what interests me and some of these special little attributes. Now, the wind isn't the best for us tracking lions this morning, I must be honest. It's blowing from us into the area where we hope to be tracking these lions into. And while wind is a factor with lion tracking, I don't know, in my experience I have a mixed feeling about wind direction. I'm not against lions knowing that I'm there. It gives them that much more growling distance, at least anyway, before you stumble on some sleeping cats, at least anyway. Now, we are as interactive as what Brent and Byron are, so you're welcome to send through any questions or comments that you have to the bushwalk. You can do that via the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or you can use the email address questions@wildearth.tv, and we'll try and get through as much as what is relevant. All right. Now, my world, your music, these handles are unbelievably sort of engineered. Well, good morning to you firstly, and secondly, you've asked if we could find a solifuge. Yes, I can try and find you a solifuge, no problem. We're in that transition period between the nocturnal solifuges, which are admittedly much bigger and much scarier. They go like this big as my hand, to the diurnal daytime solifuges, which are much smaller, much more fast moving, and then also a lot hairier. In actual fact, they wander around here like little balls of hairy lightning. So we're in that transition period between the two. Generally speaking, one is strictly nocturnal, in other words, just nighttime. We see them coming out in proper dark. The other one is strictly diurnal. We see them running around in the heat of the day, midday. So now it's going to be a bit of a challenge, but if we find one, I'll absolutely show it to you. So just keep on watching. That's the key. That's the secret. These things happen quite quick. Now we are live, the same as Brent and Byron, which means that what I'm seeing pretty much a couple of seconds later, depending on where you are on the globe, you are watching. So we don't quite know what's around the corner, we don't quite know what's around the next bush, and for that we've just got to keep our eye open from time to time. Now, I have been waffling on for quite some time, so I think what we're going to go and do is go and have a look at what Byron's up to, and we'll catch up with you in a little bit.
We've been looking around and trying to see what we can find, but it's been actually a little quieter this morning. We're approaching Buffelshoek Dam now. Might be something around the water, but again, it is cool, it is windy, so animals possibly looking for some shelter in the thickets, trying to stay out of the wind. Not even that resident hippo, it appears like it, no. I'm going to stop up on the dam wall. We can scan around and see what we can find. Maybe there's some interesting little birds. Maybe just listen out a little bit. Or any signs of animals. Perhaps we hear some elephant breaking branches. As I say that, look what I found, everyone. An elephant off to the right. Have a look. There we go. I heard a little branch break. There it is. Fantastic. Let me see if I can get us a little bit closer. You see, good things come to those with patience, and you stop and listen. Things happen for you in the bush. I'm a strong believer in that. See if we can get a nice view. It looks like just the one. Don't see any others just yet. Can you get him through there? I think that's our best view for the moment. Actually, hold on a second. Hold on a second, Genre. Sorry. He's right in the thicket there. He's hiding from us a little bit. Just going to see which way, if he decides to move again. And possibly try and get another view of him. Hang on, maybe down in the dip. It's amazing how these big, massive animals, these elephants, can disappear into a thicket so easily. He's standing right there. As Genre spotted, there are two of them. There's another one through the back. It's so difficult. Look, standing dead still, you can just see the tusks. Some very, very loud Franklin calling. And that other one's breaking a branch through the back. Can't believe it's so thick through here. Hang on, we'll just we'll sit and wait. Maybe we're lucky and they do decide to come out. Now, I would assume, and I can't really see just yet, but I think these are two bulls, two big bulls that are hanging around together, and that's not unusual. The males often move away from the herds, and especially the big dominant males, and what they do is they'll try and find herds while they're moving around. They'll go and feed, and if they pick up on the scent of a herd, they'll go move in and see if there are any females to potentially mate with. And you do get these groups of males that move around together. Usually an older male might be followed by a younger, more inexperienced male, and the older male then teaches the youngster. Oh, look. Oh, this one's pushing over this tree. Wow. So much power. Isn't that incredible? Just to get to some of the branches at the top. So as I was saying, these older males then teach these younger males where to find food and how to be successful and how to find the females. But look at that, these two massive animals hiding in this thicket. And again, this could be linked to the wind. Maybe they've decided it's better to be in the middle of these trees and out of the wind. I wonder if I can't. Let me try go back a little bit. I just want to see if I can't get a better view for you. Maybe if we go back here. But as you can see, it's very, very thick through here. A lot of tambuti trees around here.
We've left the male lions and I'm charging off to the western edge. I've heard a report of an animal that would make me leave almost all animals. I wonder who knows what it is. Of course you do. Apparently there's a pack of wild dogs on their way towards Djuma, and I'm trying to get in the right area to be there when they cross, because we all know how fast wild dogs are, and we don't want to miss them. My favorite animal in the African bush, the African wild dog or painted wolf. So much of excitement. So apparently they might come out around Impala Plains, so I'm going to get onto Triple M there and just move up and down waiting for them to cross. Try and make sure we're in the right spot when they do. So I wonder which pack it is. Is it going to be one of the big packs with the babies that are now getting mobile? Or is it going to be some of the dispersal packs we've been seeing? The 3 members of the Lower Sabi, or the 3 members of the Impala pack originally? I am fascinated to find out. Exactly where we planned for them to pop out. Last I heard, they were in Arathusa. So fingers crossed they don't change their mind and go south. They must keep coming north, north, and north. We want all the animals to come north when we're in the south and west, and when we're on the northern boundary, we want everyone to come south. So it all just depends on where you are. And I'm I'm sure a lot of the people on the other side of Gary Main are saying go south, 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 or go east, I mean, not east. Whoopsie, that's a big bump. That's a new one. West, west, west. Some very big bumps here now. They obviously heard I was coming this way for wild dogs and quickly made some bumps. Okay, now we're in the right neck of the woods. If the last report I heard was correct that they would be coming from around the Red Dam area. Oh, but there's a big herd of impalas. Let's see if there are any babies. Well, apparently there was some dispute about my spiral-horned antelope quiz. Let's see. They're saying, don't impala have spiral horns? There's a male here. We're going to have a look at it right now. Where'd he go? And the answer is they do not. They have ribbed horns, so they do go outward and inward. Where are they now? Where's the male gone? Oh, there he is. And you see how they go out and in, but they've got ribs, circular ribs around them, and not spiraled. No babies in this herd just yet. Now, the biggest danger to baby impala out of all the animals in the African bush is wild dogs. I've seen them kill 9 baby impala in the space of 20 minutes. Each wild dog having its own baby. So while we're sitting here, I'm just listening to the radio, trying to get an update on where those dogs are. Now, in theory, if they kept heading in the direction they were, they should come almost right through the middle of this herd of impala, which could cause absolute pandemonium. Okay, I'm just going to be on the radio for a second. Morning stations in the west, can I have an update for safari, please? Thought I was on high enough ground to get that radio to work. Alas, no one is replying. Oh, there we go. Is that a reply? In broken static. Oh, look at that. You can see that sideways chewing ruminant. Oh, let's give ourselves a bit of a groom. Got an itchy spot. Okay, well, I'm going to try and figure out what's going on the radio. While I do that, Byron has got some great big grey pachyderms.
And this big... He stopped and he just watched us. We are quite close to him. And he stopped to watch us, but looks like he's relaxed again, and we might be lucky. He might cross the road in front of us. magnificent animals. I love watching these big elephant bulls and spending time with them. I don't want to move the vehicle too much now because we are fairly close to him, and he didn't show any signs of aggression, but he did lift his head a little bit and just look at us. And there are little signs that you do need to look out for. Something like that just shows that he's not completely comfortable. But now the fact that he's started to feed again is a good sign. And I always say a feeding elephant is a happy elephant. If they stop feeding and they're watching you, then you know they're not that happy with you being around. Hang on, here he comes. Here he comes. That's it. Come out in front of us, please. He's deciding to take the road. I will move forward a little bit. Let's have a look at him. And there's still another one in the bushes behind us. You can't see him at all. See, just now that elephant stopped and he's turned and he's peering at us. But watch out, that. And Lynn, it was, look at that. Wow. Look at the power, everybody. Wow, isn't that amazing? And Lynn, you were saying, and you watching via Periscope, and you say, isn't that amazing camouflage for such a large animal? And it is indeed. Definitely. They can easily disappear through the thicket or into the bushes. And this big bull just pushed that tree over just to get to the leaves at the top. Probably a bit tastier for him. As I was saying, there is still another bull behind us, but in through the bushes we actually can't see him from where we are sitting now. I can just hear the odd branch break now and then from him also feeding. Oh, look at those tusks, beautiful. There are two very large bulls that we found here. Okay, I think I'd like to sit with these elephants a little bit longer, just see what they get up to and see if that other big bull comes out. And while we do that and see if we get you a better view, let's head over to the bushwalk to Stef and see what he's got.
So we have arrived in the area where Byron last had those lion tracks, which is around about the Sandy Patch, Old Breeze Road area. Now we've just been sitting for the last couple of minutes while you've been with those elephant, just listening to the bush around us. It's quite important that when you don't know where lions are or you don't know where an animal is, quite often you just have to sit still, and rather than manically running around, you just have to listen and feel the bush a little bit, and it'll tell you some stuff. And right off the bat, it was about 30 or 40 seconds ago, a noise happened into this bush here in front of us. Inside there, it sounded like a sneeze. Could have been something bumping against another thing. I mean, there's any variety of animals out here that could make a noise like that. Zebra sneeze quite often. Giraffe make weird noises, all variety of weird noises. Elephant, rhinoceros and buffalo. Doesn't have to just be a lion. But since we're looking for lions in this area, and there's this weird noise, it does warrant a little bit of an inspection. But as I promised, I want to show you something that has been a mystery to me this particular season, going from the dry season into the wet season. It's something that I don't really have an answer for, but I'd really like to share it with you. As some of you might know, I really enjoy ants. And this is a little species of granivorous ant, and what that means is that I've seen them eating the grains of seeds off of grasses. But they are also, as far as I can see, they also are carnivorous. You can have a look. You'll see that they are dragging the body of another ant, and it's definitely not the same species. Here we have it again. Now, what has perplexed me is not the fact that these ants eat both grains and meat. It's the fact that they cement with a glue the entrance to their burrows. And it is a very hard calcrete substance. I'm going to show you here. I've just cleared the entrance to their burrow there. You can see that this is eroding away, but this isn't. And it's because that entrance to that hole is as hard as a piece of cement. And the only reason that I can think of that it is like that is as a flood and erosion deterrent. So some ants thatch the entrance to their burrows, and that stops water from going into their burrow, and it stops the lip of the entrance burrow eroding inside, which of course takes time to clear. These ants, I think, create these cement tunnels on the outside edge of their nests for exactly the same reason. Water will come along and erode next to their entrance burrow, the sand, creating a little bit of height, and the water will then flow around the burrow and flow away from the burrow rather than flowing into the burrow. And it's the only thing that I can think of that why they would cement and glue the entrance to their tunnels. That is literally, it'll wear away my fingernail if I scratch it away. I mean, I'll eventually break it down, of course, but it is much harder than the softer sand around it. I don't know what species of ant these are. There's very, very few good resources for being able to identify ants. There are more common ants, of course, are in all our insect books, but this is not a common ant at all. It's a common ant here, but it's not something that I've seen commonly around. They've done particularly well this year, and it's just because there's been so little grass cover that I've actually been able to see their entrance burrows, that I was actually able to observe these ants for the first time in about 17 or 18 years of walking around here in the Kruger National Park. Exciting, eh? All right. Now, we have been listening here for long enough, and I think it's a good idea that we follow this game path. You can see it going through the bush over here. Lion, like most other animals, quite enjoy walking on pathways like this, and it's always a good place to start looking for footprints, is right here on these paths, either crossing over the paths or walking on them. At some point, if lions are in the area, they absolutely will walk here. So, keeping our eyes peeled for any sort of signs and markings. So, Paul, you've just remarked on those ants. You've just said, does that mean that the ants are omnivores? Yes, it does mean that the ants are omnivores, meaning that they eat a variety of different food sources. Those particular ants eat anything from grain that I've seen, and at the entrance burrows, when it was summer, they'd throw the husks of their grain, the outside covering of the grain, about a hand span from the entrance to their burrows in this arc. But I have also seen them eating snails. I've seen the discarded husks of the single-banded snail around the entrance to their burrows. And as you just witnessed there, they definitely are cannibalistic on other ant species as well. They definitely were drawing to the burrow entrances other ants. And that's not uncommon. Ants are quite how do I say, Catholic in their diets, in that they will eat virtually anything that they can get their jaws into. You do get specialists, of course, but these particular ants look like they're generalists, and it's probably why they're doing so well in this area. Now, we are going to send you over to Byron, who I'm told has some elephant for you.
And we are still sitting with this beautiful big bull just off to the side. I've moved a little bit closer. He's still very relaxed and feeding. Look at those beautiful eyes. Rich amber color. If you do have a closer look, and look at those long eyelashes too, isn't that incredible? That is beautiful. That is very, very beautiful. The texture of the skin and everything. You can see there's a bit of mud that is caked around his forehead and the back of his head. And that's probably just from dust bathe. Listen. Did you hear that? That was an elephant communicating, just a low frequency vocalization, possibly communicating with the other bull that wasn't too far. Don't know where that other bull is now. There was one out around here earlier. I haven't heard him again. He's possibly still through the thicket, or maybe he's moved off a little bit. But it's wonderful to get so close to this beautiful male right here. Have him call like that. Let's see what he does. Hoping he moves out into the open a little bit more. This elephant's been a little bit shy this morning. He's been hiding in the thickets or behind trees. Mike, you mentioned that the female elephants in India don't have tusks. We wanted to know if African elephants, if the females have tusks. They do indeed. Now, Mike, I'm just towards us. Hello. Isn't that wonderful? There is the other one. So he snuck around very, very quietly through the trees, and just come to join this other bull, and now they're moving off together. Isn't that a lovely sighting? So, Mike, as I was saying, getting back to your question, occasionally you can have elephants, perhaps the tusks have broken off, and once they have broken off, they don't grow back. But also I have seen elephants where the tusks actually do not grow out. That could just be a genetic thing that they, or genetic reason that perhaps the tusks have not grown out for some reason, I'm not sure why. But it can happen at times, and I have seen elephants without tusks. But generally speaking, all the elephants in Africa especially, they do have tusks that do grow out. And you do get the odd exception where you don't see any tusks on an elephant. So I wonder if that doesn't happen with some of the Indian elephants too. But I'm not sure. Like I said, I don't know much about the Indian elephant in terms of their tusks and who has, or why the females, you say the females don't have tusks. That's interesting. I wonder why. Tracy, the African elephant is not endangered at the moment. Oh, listen to those branches breaking. So the African elephant's not endangered. There are plenty of elephant throughout Africa. They are at threat though because of the poaching that goes on, and you wanted to know about the poaching. Yes, the poaching is still an issue in various parts of Africa. Fortunately for us in southern Africa, the poaching of elephant is not very, very bad, and they are very well protected, especially countries like Botswana. There are huge elephant populations in Botswana, but the Botswanan government are very strict with controlling any poaching or any hunting within their country. They are very, very strict with that, and they monitor it very closely. South Africa too, we do have strict laws, anti-poaching units, so we do protect these animals as much as possible. So the elephant's not endangered at all, but you know, we would still have to look after them and make sure that in other parts of Africa bulls. I'm going to move forward a little bit, just see if we get another view of that one male. The other one has moved off. See if we get another view of this male, and then possibly leave them. Let's just see. It looks like, well, he did push over a branch, or tree rather, small tree, just to get to some of the leaves. There he is. That's a wonderful view. Also some beautiful big tusks on this male. Look how they wrap their trunk around the branches to break them off. They'll also use the tusks to help break the branches. And if you have a look, I wonder if you can see it clearly there. On that left tusk, so his left tusk, the way we look at it, the tusk on the right, just at the tip you can see, now he's hiding it a little bit from us. Hang on, let's just see if he moves that tusk out again. I'd like to show you something interesting, but where is it there? Just, can you see there's a distinct groove in that tusk? It's very interesting, so I'll show you what happens. Do you see that? And then, so the distinct groove on that left tusk, and then on his right tusk you can see it's quite worn down on the tip there too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you something shortly once I leave this elephant. We've had a wonderful sighting of them. I think we're going to give them some space, let them enjoy their feeding, and we'll move on from here. But then I do want to show you something interesting about those